Welcome to Connecting Greeks, a streaming comedy show and podcast designed to explore and enhance Greek culture around the world. Join hosts Angelo, Adi, and Foti as they bring you fun and interesting guests from all walks of Greek life. Grab a kafedaki and join us.
Hey everyone, welcome to another fantastic episode of the Connecting Greeks podcast. I am Ari, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Foti Stamos. Hello, Foti, how are you?
Good, and yourself, Ari?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty excited today. We have a great guest. Let me turn it over to you, Foti, so you could bring on our third esteemed co-host. I won't let anybody know yet who that is. I'll let you do it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Once again, another exciting segment episode. But before we bring on our exciting guest that I'm super excited about, our co-host with us who has a backdrop that's kind of irritating my eyes. All the way from Los Angeles, our good friend Angelo Tsaroukis. Angelo, how are you,
Angelo.
brother?
Hi, Ari. Hi, Foti. I have the background today of the LA Rams Super Bowl champions. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yes,
and I don't care today.
It's hard. It's hard for us.
All 100 people that give a shit in LA were excited about this.
It's just hard, Angelo, as a Pats fan, to not win the Super Bowl.
Oh, please!
Don't even start with that.
You
said exciting, Angelo. You said exciting.
No, but I truly am a Rams fan. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes.
So I'm happy they won, but like everything else in LA, they celebrate it for a day and then we don't care. So that's how it is.
But you know what we're going to celebrate tonight? Tonight we're going to celebrate this guest that we have. Can we get to the important stuff? Not the LA Rams, the guest we have tonight.
And like the Super Bowl, this guy's a winner. Everything he does is brilliant.
Champion.
And I'm going to say this because I told my brother, who's a big, huge gamer, who we're interviewing today, and he said to me, he goes, Admiral Versio from Star Wars Battlefront. I go, what? You know him? He goes, everybody knows him. But he's a classically trained actor. But we're going to say himself, welcome to Connecting Greeks, Anthony Skordi. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be here, and I love your backdrop.
Thank you. So, Anthony, when I told my brother, we were just talking, he's in Montreal. And I told him, I mentioned your name. He knew right away who you were. And you've done so many, I love your work. You were in Poe. You portrayed Edgar Allan Poe, the American poet and playwright. Telltale Heart was one of my favorite stories that was captured. And we're going to get to the big thing that you're doing right now. And you've done a great body of work. And my first question to you, I want to ask you is that because you've done all this amazing work, but it's like, and you hear this story often in Hollywood or other places, and then you do this character in this game that is huge, like it's big. And do you find now, do you go to the conventions and stuff and meet people and all that kind of things?
No, I don't. I haven't done that yet. I don't have that's a completely separate. There are agents for that kind of stuff. And I've no idea about it. And it's like, I have.
Yeah. Because my friend Mark Shepard, who was on Supernatural.
Oh, I know Mark.
You know Mark?
Well, why wouldn't I? He's another Brit.
He's another Brit, and I smoke stogies with him, which I know you like to do occasionally, once in a while.
Listen, man. I got 10 Monty number 2s.
We're gonna burn one at your opening
2018. Yeah,
those are great cigars.
And I got Athens duty free.
And Anthony, I'm gonna bring you Monte Cristo Open Eagle.
Mm.
I got a nice box of these. I'm gonna bring you one at your opening night.
Thank you.
In New York. And here we are swapping stuff, but I know that it's very lucrative. I've never worked on a series enough for a sci-fi series or something, but the loyal fan base that comes out for this stuff is astonishing. And, you were So your parents were you're a Greek Cypriot born in London, am I right?
Yeah. What gave it away? My accent?
Accent's cool. But you have a cool accent. You got one of those accents where women just, hello, excuse me.
Yeah, but it's not,
these women?
It's not just the accent; it's that deep voice.
Yeah, he's got that great voice.
The combination of the two is amazing.
Thank you.
And so the thing is, you were born in London, like myself, like Ari, like Forty. My parents are both Greek immigrants. I was born in Canada. And then I lived in London for a couple of years by accident. I went there and started getting gigs. That's how performers are. We go somewhere that's good, then, hey, we're not leaving. We're like those relatives from Greece who say, I'm going to stay on your couch for 2 weeks. And then, 18 months later, they're still there. And so you were trained in the UK. When did you make your move? When did you decide you wanted to come over to the States to do this stuff?
Yeah, I made two separate moves. I made one in. I was involved with Vanessa Redgrave, if any of you guys know who she is.
Yes,
and I was in her company, and it was a series of events that got me into that company. And we came over, and we were in Houston, Texas, and we were supposed to go to New York, and they could only have Vanessa for a month. The thing fizzled out, and a friend of mine said, well, why don't you go to LA? And actually I went to New York first, and I was sitting in Columbus in their circles. Well, it gets cold in LA, but at least in New York the rents are expensive. Maybe I should go to LA. And I jumped on a plane and went to LA, and excuse me, I should have turned that off. And and I stayed for a bit, and it wasn't the best experience of my life. I went to Cyprus for my brother's wedding for a fleeting visit to come back to LA to do a movie with Craig Ferguson. And when I got back, the part had been just a page. It was nothing. It was nothing, left to nothing. So I didn't do it and decided to go back to Cyprus. And I ended up having a TV career out there and a video career. And so I got to a point where it was like, man, this is it. I mean, I can't go any further, and I've got so much more creatively to give.
Right.
And London is too cold. New York is too bloody cold. And I've been in Cyprus, imagine, for like 6 years. So I thought, you know what, I'm going back to LA. So that was my second stint in 2009. I came back.
All right.
And since 2018, I've been looking for a home, right? And twice I've moved to Athens. And twice I booked gigs to come back. One is a video game, which is undisclosed,
right?
But it's dropping soon. And the other one was The Offer, which I just recently finished doing November, which is
about the Godfather, making of The Godfather.
Yeah, but Paramount, it's 50-year anniversary. I was playing Carlo Gambino.
Wow,
so,
very cool.
Yeah. So I had it's not a major part, but it's 6 episodes. It is a major part, but they're not major scenes. But it was the best, met some amazing people on that job and got to work with Dexter Fletcher and a bunch of other directors. So it was a lot of fun. So, now it's like everything's up on its, upended. Where do I go? Do I go to New York? Oh, I can afford to buy something in Atlanta,
Yeah, sure. Atlanta's great like that. It's funny you said that.
Oh, it's going up, mate. It's going up now.
Yeah, everywhere it's going up like that, right? It's funny because I was on hold to play Mario Puzo. I know. Yeah. And it's funny.
Patrick Garlow played the role.
That's right. And then I'd gone for it like a while ago, and the guy had seen me. Believe it or not, they saw me at a comedy club. And the guy saw me outside after. This was in Vegas, smoking a cigar, and he's friends with Harry. The director, I can't remember his name. I was a producer. He came up and he goes, "You look like." I always get Bruno the plumber or Spiro the butcher. He goes, "You look like Mario Puzo, the guy that wrote The Godfather." Right. Well, you're sitting there with your cigar. I go, "Really?" You put something on tape, but like everything. But I was happy to hear you're in it. Now, I like your look, and that's cool. Now, I'm excited about this show, and I'm going to your opening night on Friday, March 4th in New York, and you're playing such an iconic character, especially for Greek, but not just for Greeks, but for the world who knew this man. You're playing Onassis. Now, I know that you wrote this and the whole thing. How did you come up with this whole idea? Because I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I'll answer as briefly as I can because it could take an hour answering this, but essentially that's my anyway. Essentially, it was I'm going to I don't know if this is going to work. Essentially, what happened was I was shooting a film called A Green Story that you might be aware of. Mm-hmm. And I was working with Teo Penglis. Do you know Teo?
Okay.
You know, and they were like rehearsing the background to do some dance. And I was like, Teo turned around and said, "Oh, you know, you look like an Assis." And I was like, "Go yourself," right?
Yeah.
Because what I did know about him was that he was short and ugly. You know, and I remember, I shouldn't say this. I've never told this story, but I remember being a really young kid and my mom like going berserk over why didn't he marry a refugee and instead he went and married that putana.
Jackie O.
Yeah. I thought, and it was only when I was working on this. Anyway, before Teo said that to me, I was thinking, man, comedians, they can get up, you know, and do their own stuff. They get a set. A busker can go out there and do something. How comes we actors can't? And then when Teo said that to me, I went home that evening and I started researching. The first thing, obviously, that comes up is Wikipedia. And I thought, oh, that's a bit damning. And so I started digging and became more and more intrigued by this. And I wrote it in 2 weeks, man.
Wow.
And it took me 4 months to rewrite.
And Anthony, prior to that, your knowledge of Onassis was minimal?
Well, no, I knew he married a Budana.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
It was very limited, the knowledge that I had. So I came to it fresh, and I must have read 10 biographies on the guy. And there wasn't much footage when I first wrote it on him. There's a little bit more now. And then I just chose to read through between the lines. You know, I chose to read the white instead of the black on the page.
Right.
You know, and I think the last book I read was written by a bunch of the newspaper, The Independent, in the UK. And what I read there confirmed the white bits. So I mean, like this book here, which happens to be here just by coincidence, is called The Fabulous Onassis with Jackie and Ari Aristotelis there. And she wanted him to write it.
Nice.
She wanted him to get it written because she was getting such a bad rap.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you look at the Fabulous Onassis, well, if I'm going to make you look good, then I'm going to name it The Fabulous Onassis. You know, I laughed when I saw the title and I realized how the book came about.
Mm.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, Anthony, because, you know, Onassis, when he made his fortune by buying those merchant ships and then, you know, selling them to the Americans and then buying them back. And when there was an oil embargo and shortage in America, Onassis had the tankers with it. And it goes back that the Kennedys were never fans of his. He was never fans of them. And on the Christina, because when you look at his yacht and the people and the way he, you know, there was always that thing. And of course, in Greek spirit, he ends up taking the woman. That seems to be a Greek tragedy. It's either Helen of Troy or Ari's taking over Jackie. And, you know, she'd get on Olympic Airways and fly out of first class on Kennedy. And I read a book. Did you read the book Greek Fire? About
Maria Callas by Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Yep. And it's Nicholas. I've been in contact with. We're trying to get him to. I think he's going to come and do our podcast too, which is great. And he's a nice man. But Greek Fire was interesting because here is one of the richest men in the world, and now he's with the one of the most famous first ladies ever. She was in the car when her husband got assassinated, and then gave a big fuck you to America and married this Greek tycoon. You know, and went over to Greek there. And then now you have, you know, you're looking at the combination of all these things that come together. And it's amazing to me because I think, and then he had Maria Callas, who was his mistress, allegedly all these. So as an actor, I think he's a complicated character, but it's chock full of, I'm sure, a lot of elements for you to work with.
Yeah, it is. And I'm out there for an hour and a half.
Right.
And it covers basically his whole life.
Nice.
It has a character arc and it has a story arc.
Nice.
So, and there are, you know, his influences are in there. His yaya,
right?
His uncle Alexandro, Claudia Muzio, who who was instrumental when he made his first million at 23 years old through cigarettes.
Right, in Argentina. That's right.
Yeah. And then that's when he discovered that other men were making more money than me simply by shipping my tobacco.
Right.
And that's when he invests in those 6 frigates, where he comes up to Canada. Didn't know a blind thing about shipping ships or anything. And he'd crawl into these holes and come out and go, and, he knew nothing about it. And he got the price knocked down. We're talking about the Great Depression.
Yeah.
That's when he did it. And there was something else very interesting. What happened was, there's just so much information that I can't put it all in there. So I had to focus on a couple of things. But what had happened was he had been going to the Arabs and had sorted out to be the sole carrier of oil.
Right.
Now, Tina, his wife, at the time was having a relationship with Niarchos.
That's right.
And she married him in the end. And Niarchos, the pillow talk, Niarchos apparently went to the CIA. And that's when he was hurting because he wasn't allowed to carry any oil. Then he had a phone call where he was losing money. He had a phone call from Winston Churchill's nephew, to say, get your ships over to the Suez Canal. And he did.
That's right.
And where he was losing money, he was making an extra 5 million a day, 5 to 8 million a day. So that's the story. But that story I can't have, so it's
right.
pretty convoluted. So I focus on a couple of things. And one of them that I focus on is the influence of Yaya Gethsemane, which was God, forgiveness, pray, Ari, Ella, where she used to send his underpants to the church to be blessed so he could be pure. You know what I mean? And his uncle, who was like, life, it's destiny, it's fate, it's midah. You have no choice, So I set that up pretty early on. And how, the devastation of Smyrna on the 13th of September will be the 100-year anniversary. So this is kind of timely. And the devastation of Smyrna, and how I set up how beautiful Smyrna was and how it was devastated. And anyone from most of us would have just used that and said, yeah, well, I am who I am because my life was destroyed. Instead, he didn't. It was it galvanized him. It was the catalyst to him catapulting, imagine working at a telephone exchange on the night shift, and he knew, just have one good suit, a few shirts, a few different ties, and you can get away with nursing one drink in the most expensive nightclub bar in Buenos Aires and meet the right people. Very interesting, very interesting man. What?
But Anthony, you think about it, we don't really see that anymore with automation and technology and social media and all blah, blah, blah. We go on forever about it. You're talking to everything you just described. Here's a guy that figured it out and knew, like you just said, one drink, a good shirt, knew to talk to the right people, knew to make the right moves. Do you think nowadays I find that people want a sure thing? They don't realize that. Look, if you're in entertainment business, you're taking a chance. Every day is an audition, I call it, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. And I think you'll agree with this, Anthony. I think it doesn't matter what you've done. It's what are you going to do next? And that's what happens. In that way. That you have work. But then I always tell people, I got cousins go, I love to do what you do. I said, I don't think you'd be able to do it. I don't think you'd be able to do the travel. We're nomads. One day you're in Atlanta. Next day you're in Cleveland. Next day you're in Vancouver. Next day you're in Dubai. I mean, it's literally kind of like that sometimes. And then you may go back to LA for a day to do a 1-hour session in the studio, and then get on a fucking airplane and you're flying to New York within 3 hours.
Right.
So that happens, but people accept that. And when you see, I'm always interested in biographies. I've always been fascinated by biography. Whenever I see biographies on TV about how people got to where they went, I'm always fascinated by that. And that's why I'm looking so forward to seeing your one-man show. And I can say one-man show because you're a man, and it's a show about a man.
Say it's a one-man play.
It's a one-man show. I don't say
one-man play. It's a one-man. I'm a man.
You're a man playing. And then Onassis. But I think
I got to stop. My dad. I used to ask my dad, "How many kids you got, George?" He'd say 3, one of each. You just sorry, I interrupted you.
I got one of each.
One of each.
And I said, no, Malo, for sure.
What?
We have the same humor, and I think we have the same dad. And it's so funny because when you really think about it, it's like I think we need, and that's what's great about what we do here, Anthony, with Connecting Greeks. We like these kind of stories to convey them, our audiences worldwide, so people will listen to this and maybe want to go and see the show or get more interested in it. And all we do, we're just vessels. We just kind of bring people together.
I've seen your stuff, so I know exactly, I've seen sets of yours, but, it's like I was speaking to a mutual friend of ours and the PR, and, I was speaking to people about the playbill and what we should have on it. And it was like, I just want a black cover with a Nassus written across it in Greek, in red. That's all. It's not about me. It's about Smyrna. It's about me being a Hellene. It's about me putting, this man is despised by, I did it in Athens. I don't know if you know that, September 2020. I performed it in Athens, and I did this out there. And it's like, this man did so much and is still doing so much.
Yeah, the foundation.
Yes. And like people aren't aware of that, I spoke to John Gatzimatidis the other day, I was on his station. We did a quick interview and it was like real fun, but he was like, the only thing I remember, and he used to say was, I remember the commercial. He said, no dancing in the aisles, and it's I mean, when was that? I mean, is that this one man, 123, 128 tankers. He knew where each one of those tankers were. He knew the price of oil in each port, how much he could make, how much he could lose. He owned 30 other businesses. He owned half of Monaco. And it's like, Anastas, is he a rapper?
Is he a rapper? Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a shame. I mean, you can count us Greeks, including Cypriots, like, we got Cat Stevens, who's a Cypriot, George Michael, who was a Cypriot, God rest his soul, and then we got Telly Savalas, Irini Papas, and that golden age, the golden age of Greece and the golden age of Greek cinema is gone.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm proud of like growing up, it was like, I have to be, Greek in the house and I can't be Greek outside as I get bullied or, and now I'm so proud that I can go to Athens and I can live there and, and I'm just slip into the culture and it feels like, it just feels like a warm glove. It's just, I love it. And I love, my mom used to say, what are you going to do when you go on holiday? You want to eat something or drink something, or you want the toilet, how are you going to say that? It's like, Mom, at this point, you know what I mean? But, I was a kid, I was a nipper, but, and she's right. And my life is richer now because of my culture. My hair will stand on end when I listen to a Greek song or Greek, poetry. And it will when I listen to the Eagles as well.
Sure. Anthony, do people mistake you for being Italian most of the time?
Yeah.
Because there is some kind of an Italian connection, don't you have in your background?
Yeah, I do. My Skordi is an Italian name anyway.
Right.
Its roots are Skordi, which means forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. Skordi, forget about it.
We did our DNA, and I came out 42% or something like that. Southern Italian Greek.
Greek, of course.
Italian Greek. That was a funny one. And I came out like, I don't know, 9% Ashkenazi, right? My dad was very, very white. And, we think it was from there. Like my mom came out like 18% Sephardic.
Ah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I said, Mom, ξέρεις ότι είσαι 18% Εβραία. Great accent, too. And she sat there and she thought for a minute and she said, Jesus was a But yeah, no, that's my the only place I don't get mistaken for being from that place is Germany.
Right.
And Mexico.
Oh, really? Huh?
Yeah. I'm too tall to, you're
too tall.
Yeah. I remember I got on a Mexican Airlines playing, and like the headdress was like on my shoulders. Specially made planes. Oh God, I'm being terrible. I'm going to have to go through my Twitter account and make sure I haven't said, we have to do that nowadays. I feel sorry for you comedians. And
talk about anything.
Anybody in the public eye has to. That's why Foti and I, we're carefree because we're not in the public eye. But you guys who are in the public eye, you always have to look over your shoulder.
Okay, so I'm going to ask
social media.
We talked Adi, we talked about the name. So there's that bit I do about Tsarukas, my name.
Yeah.
20 Greek shoes and pom-poms. Now I got people on these old videos from everywhere going, how dare you make fun of your father's Greek culture? Malaka, do you even know what Tsarukas means? Yeah, Malaka, I've had that name my whole fucking life. You don't know what the name means? So now they're mad at me as a comedian for making fun of my own name.
How ridiculous is that?
How ridiculous is that?
I know. I've got a line in the play where I talk about how, passionate relationships, fights, arguments, and then love making. Love making is always better after a struggle and a slap or two, right? And it's like, and everyone's like everyone was so scared, and they still are scared how New York's going to take it. But when I look at a chick and I give her a wink and she goes, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. They can say what they want. They want to call it, anyway. No,
but Anthony, let me ask you this. You're portraying now a historical figure.
Absolutely.
Who was very, very popular. In that time, this is my argument. If you're an actor portraying a character from that era, that's how it was then. Me, as a person coming to see the show, that's the information I want to process. Why do they keep, and that's what's happening, especially in comedy. Well, you can't really say that, but if you put it, you have to use it in the context of when it was said. So when I talk about my mother yelling at me, I'm a son of Yit exoptospititas skotoso, like we're going to kill you. Then you said, no, well, you can't really say that your mother is going to kill you. She would kill us because and Greeks, Kipre, I had a girlfriend in Toronto, and I always love the fact that you guys call Karpuzi patika.
Right. Well, it depends.
What's a patika? And I thought it was like mastika. Patika. She goes, oh no, it's watermelon.
Yeah, it is.
So I love those
I'm surprised you remember.
I do remember, and she was really pretty. But the thing is that I always find now that it's like you said, you do your show and one line, and you're consciously thinking, well, do I do that line? But then you have to ask yourself, did Onassis maybe do or say that at that time? Wasn't it Sean Connery who came out and said every woman needs a good shot in the head once in a while? That was his words. But he was like 95 years old. I mean,
you're getting canceled, Angela. You're getting canceled.
So with that line, I'm trying to help you now. So with that line, I'll look at a chick, and if I think it's going a bit awry, I'll say, but we need the safe word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good save.
You know what I mean? But no, you're absolutely right. And it does suck. And I was watching something the other day, and it was about what I won't mention names, but it was one of those wrestling guys on his podcast, only because I don't remember his name. And someone he used the N-word, and they interviewed a bunch of white people. And the white people were like, oh, my God, that's so offensive. How can he say that? They went to some black people, and the black people were like, yeah, what? So what? You know what I mean? And it's like 1 sec, we're not in our own lane here now. That's not your lane. Right. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but what I'm saying is we're prejudging what someone else feels about something, and we have to protect them. And yet, oh my God, where's my PR agent? She'd be kicking me under the fucking table right now.
See, it's very.
I just had a vision of her next to me, so I stopped myself.
It has to be very, very frustrating for performers, comedians, actors to live in the social media world that we live in right now. Because I'll be perfectly honest, the whole PC. I'm a very liberal, kind of PC guy, but
It's cancel culture, man. It's not.
I don't believe in the PC-ness of like when you're performing or when you're doing comedy. It really goes against everything that's about, because you're portraying the real humanity of things, and the real humanity of things is un-PC. So if you're performing this and then people like trying to cancel you because of the un-PC-ness, it just doesn't make sense. And I think people need to think deeper. They need to think deeper about the audience. I'm saying they need to think deeper about what's going on and what you're portraying, instead of hearing the N-word or hearing like chick or hearing like, backhand because she's getting out of hand. Like, it's part of a story. It's part of the human condition. It's part of like upbringing. It's part of old school. It's part of like so many things. Why get offended? Why take it to that level? But social media gives everybody a voice. So are they just going to sit back and twiddle their thumbs? Are they going to complain and bitch and moan? And that's what they do. And I really feel for you in that sense. Well,
yeah, no, I'm not. Mr. Tarojas over there has to be much more careful than me. Because I'm portraying someone's biography. Right. But then when you look at Dave Chappelle and the flack that he had, and I enjoy him. I really enjoy him.
Awesome.
And I don't know him, but I love his work. And I was sitting there and I thought, I watched the whole thing, and it's like people just take sound bites, and then judge you on the sound bite, and didn't hear the rest of the act, didn't hear out of context of story, and then they went and crucified the poor man when they didn't hear the whole context of it, where it was like it was a beautiful story, it was moving, it brought me to it brought him to tears.
But that's the ADD. Internet, social media generation of taking small little short clips out of context. You don't want to watch the whole thing. You don't want to spend your time, actually informing yourself of the actual reality of what he's saying. It's just a little quick sound clip. Oh, he did this and he said that, and screw him and cancel everything, and don't tell Netflix. It's just ridiculous. And I think people, hopefully, as we go along, are going to start to wise up, because we're going to lose a lot of great like entertainment and comedy and all sorts of things. If this
Ricky Gervais is making a stand against it.
I love him,
and he's doing it great.
I love what he does, and if he knows if he knows the C word, right, is going to piss someone off, an audience off, he will use it in his show.
The more uncomfortable I get watching him, the more I love it.
Great. But Anthony,
he doesn't make me uncomfortable though.
But that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just saying, like, if I get he'll say something, and I'll get something will be so like extreme, and I'll get uncomfortable. But I'm like, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. This is what comedy is. This is why I tune into this. Because I want to feel that. I don't want to have everything laid out for me and be very comfortable in everything.
Right
now. You obviously you know more about the entertainment. You've been around this. So maybe it doesn't make you uncomfortable. But I'm just like this average American like audience member, but I don't go to the point where I think it's wrong. I go to the point where I like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. That's so awesome.
If a bunch of Brits are together cracking jokes, and if there's an American there, they won't make the same to me.
Of course not.
Oh, absolutely.
No, they won't. Because I did this joke. I said, when I do the show, I always say to people, if you're not Greek and you hang out with Greek people and you don't know what the word malaka is, it's because you're the malaka.
I actually put that. True. I actually put that in the show when I was in Athens. I say, shut up. You have not failed till you have tried. Now build it. And I go with Malaga. Because I had Uber titles up there, and they were reading the Greek. You see,
right.
They spend a lot of their time looking above
reading
my head, which is like, oh, what are they looking at? Because it's like I connect with the audience, like much like you.
Right.
But with that, they were all, they just.
Well, just listening to you, Anthony, your voice is so compelling. Like I can see why the audience wants to engage with you so much, and why your voice. But I mean, you're just having a conversation with you is so compelling, man. It's the way your style. I mean, I dig it. And I love the way that you describe things and the way your philosophy in life and everything. And I think that's what a lot of people gravitate to. It's a gift, you know that, because a lot of people don't have that. They strive. People take classes together. You come out like Malaga, and I do this and I do that. I make love to the world. It's beautiful. I love that, and I'm really excited to see Onassis. I'm
excited to be there. Although I told everyone, don't tell me who's fucking coming, and like, hey. He's like, Angela's coming. Who? That all has, man. Well, I told you not to tell me who's coming.
Don't tell me who's coming.
Do you know who might come? Do you know who might come?
And it's funny because I booked my ticket in New York. I go, yeah, of course, I know Anthony Skordi. I want to go see a show. I've been wanting to go. George goes, well, we're doing this. And I said, I'm there. I'm 100% there. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, because you work with a lot of people, there's one, because I married an Armenian girl in Los Angeles, because there's a few of them here. And you did a film where you portrayed a conflicted Turkish soldier. Am I right?
Yeah. I was only conflicted before I took the part. I was
part, right? But the thing is, I like the fact that, do you find that a lot of the roles you play, because they're compelling, and do you find that it's good, that is it something that you do that, because we only know our lives today from the history we lived from yesterday. So that's something really cool, because they did, we had Costas Mandylor on.
I know Costa.
And Costa, and they did the Cliffs of Freedom, that film with Dean Metropolis' wife did it.
Christopher Plummer was in it.
Christopher Plummer was in it, and the stuff. I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it, but I want to go see it. But the thing, it's good because, it's the 100-year anniversary of the genocide. And you were talking about Smyrna. That's where my grandparents are from my mother's side. They're from Smyrna. And then they went to Mytilene, and then a lot of them left, like they did. My dad's from Sparti, and they hate the next Chorio. Like they fucking hate everybody. So, my mom was the Nisiotisa, and my mom was the one who told the stories, the way the Smyrniotas would say, the Nisiotes, the stories. And my dad was Puito Dicano. And if you look at me the wrong way, I'm going to blast your head off. So you had Sparti thing. Do you find, my question to you is, where do you find characteristically you get from your mom and from your dad? What would be the two things that you would maybe, the way we have that from, for me, it was my mom was the one who was more funny. My dad was like, kill everything.
My mom just turned 93 on the 5th of February.
Bless her.
Wow.
And she's wrote her first book at 82.
Wow. Good for her. That's amazing.
Poetry and short stories.
That's so cool.
She just got over COVID at 93.
Look at that. 93 got over COVID.
Yeah. But she was awarded a medal for her part in helping the freedom fighters from the Brits in the 50s. She was given a medal for it recently. She was recognized 10 years ago for it, 12 years ago. So in Antarctica,
that's right. Nice.
She has that. The difference is my dad was a conscientious objector. All right. Although he wouldn't have been in any wars, he'd made his mind up that he was a conscientious objector. I'm a mixture of both of them. Like my mom says, you look like from here up, and you look like your dad from your neck down. You know what I mean? So, what characteristics I think my mom's one of my best friends. We can talk about everything and anything. And
that's the best.
That didn't used to be the case, and if I don't call her one day, then if she doesn't find me on Viber, she'll find me on WhatsApp, and if she doesn't find me on WhatsApp, she'll try me on Facebook Messenger. I swear to you, at 93.
I think we have the same mother. a Greek mother will help her son bury the body. Okay?
Oh my God, yeah.
And I did a joke, and I said, my mom will help me bury the body, and I pretend we're shoveling. I go,
that was her. It was her fault. It was her fault.
It was her fault.
She made my son. Yeah, we do. We do have the same mother. That relationship. Aristoteles Onassis has had that with his grandmother because his mother died when he was 6, and that strong relationship. And because there's not much on her, nothing really. I use my mother.
Okay, but probably the same thing, Anthony.
Yeah. That's what made me say it. That's what made me say it.
Inspiration.
Although his grandmother didn't speak Greek, she only spoke Turkish, right? She had a Turkish Bible, and she always had that with her, and she used to go on pilgrimages to the Holy Land. So I thought, well, I know her, I know this woman, I know her, I know how she thinks, So, and his uncle is completely the opposite. And right at the end, they come. I don't want to say too much, but I set up the God and the gods.
Right.
God and the gods. It's like, pray and you can have whatever you want. And if you're bad, you're going to go to hell. Ask for forgiveness. Take your underpants to the church to be blessed and all that. And his uncle's like, right in the end, it's like, no, dude, you had no fucking choice. You did what your destiny demanded.
Yeah.
Netrisi the si mirai, clotho, Lechesi and Atrobos. And so I've set that up pretty early on. And it's funny because when you look at, I'm digressing again, but when you look at Christianity in different countries, they all still have a bit of their cult, the spirituality, the religion that they had before that influence. And it's like, and I said to my mom, Mom, if in Ola Gramena, and Ola Gramena, and she says, well, if we pray hard enough, we can change what it is. So anyway, you can get tickets from Eventbrite.
So we're going to give it a plug. I'm going to push it over to Forty, who does something. So it's opening night. It's going to be, what's the name of the theater in New York, Anthony?
It's the American Theatre of Actors. It's a wonderful space. American Theatre of Actors. On at 54th and 8th. I think it's 314 54th Street. It's right opposite a Greek church.
Nice. And it's at Eventbrite. The show's called Onassis.
Yes.
Everybody's got to go see this show. I'm excited myself to come and see it and to see you. And it's been look. You're definitely a guy we got to bring back on.
Absolutely.
I think we hit the surface with you.
You know it. But you know,
to talk about
when it's like I said to John Katz, and I said, if I know you're in, I'm going to put the line in. No dancing in the aisles, but you, John, can take plates. You know what I mean? And if I know there are Greeks in, I'll riff. And I was riffing in Athens, and they screwed me over in Athens. We didn't have a tech, we didn't have a dress. They just went out there
Greek
what's that
style.
sound? You know what I mean? Well, no, because they didn't know if it was going to. They cancelled Crete, they cancelled Rhodes, they cancelled 5 performances.
Right.
So we just threw 2 together, and it was like, I remember the guy that was overseeing the direction, Yosif Varadakis, very, very damn great guy. He was with me. We were rehearsing in Aliki Voyouglakis Theatre, Aliki.
Nice, of course.
Amerikis Tessera, and that's where we're going to go and do it because they want us back. But I remember the second night I did it, the sound, the girl that was running the translation, she was looking at the script. She goes, "This is not in the script. This is not in the script." And he looked at her and said, "Don't worry, he will come back to it." So if I go off on one, I go off on one. You know what I mean? So.
That's the magic of theater right there.
Well, it's the magic of this show. Yeah.
Anthony, it's funny you brought up John Katz. I did a show one night at the Friars Club in New York. It was a special night, and John Katzimatidis is right in the front table.
You can't miss him, right?
Yeah, and then you can't. And here he is, and then I'm doing my show. Everybody's laughing, and all I see is Katzimatidis asleep.
Oh, boy.
He fell asleep. So at one point I stopped. I go, you're killing it when John Katzimatidis falls asleep. And I go, John, wear your mask because I have sleep apnea. And his wife goes, I'm trying to get him to wear it, but he won't wear it. He opened up with one eye. And he goes, I don't care. Make fun of me. He goes, he fell asleep.
I think he's going to be there on the night you're going to be there.
I'll see him.
Yeah. I said to George, I said to Zuvelos today, I said, George, we agree. Everyone, whatever happens, we must not run out of food for the press night, for the opening night.
No kidding.
Make sure that everyone, we're Greeks, that's at the very least, they got to go away fed. You know what I mean?
Because, Greeks are going to talk. How was the play? They ran out of spanakopita. What kind of a play is this? But how was Anthony's performance? They didn't even have tipo. Man. Oh, God.
Cracky. Oh, man. No, that's not why. That's not why. It's like, at the end of the day, philoxenia.
Philoxenia, that's right.
How many languages have that word?
Great word. Great word.
How many languages?
Philoxenia. Yeah, friend of strangers, man. Philoxenia. It's a great word. There's words we have that nobody has. Philotimo, philoxenia. Those are words that are powerful words. Absolutely. And people don't realize it. They're so powerful and really unique. And I even say this to my Jewish friends, Italian, whatever, Indian. I don't give a shit. I said, we are a unique culture. We have dialogue, we have words, we have compassion, and we show it more and bless people like yourself and others that are happy to do these things. And I tell people, and I think you don't realize it. I think as you go, I went through a stage where I wasn't that connected to it. And as I got older, I realized, Anthony, that you get to a point where you're starting to see everything a different way. Like you said, with your mom, you're open with her. And I think it's coming. I think we're at a point now with all the technology and everything, we're coming back to that. We're connecting again. I think people want to connect. Mm-hmm. And everybody that's listening to this podcast, you got to go see the show because I'm excited to see the show. I know just by interviewing this Anthony for the last hour, it's been I already am excited about it. But I'm going to give it to 40 now because I've said too much. 40 closes to
No, you haven't said enough about the show. Come see the show. Say more about it.
I also want to mention, and we want to give a thanks to, this segment was all possible thanks to our buddy George Zuvelos, which you mentioned earlier.
That's right.
Very interesting guy, funny, love him. He's a hustler and a go-getter, but I just want to make sure we acknowledge that Mr. George Zuvelos made our session here possible.
Yeah, because George made sure you said it at the end of the podcast. Make sure you mention my name.
I'm sorry, George who?
This segment's brought to you by Mr. George.
We're going to bring George on later.
Oh, Zabalos.
Oh, man.
George Zuvelos.
You know what? George, has been very instrumental in
He's a great
making this thing go. Lou Gatsos as well,
Yeah.
really has been really stand up for me and has just been, championing me. And I just really adore Lou Gatsos with every part of me. And the Pan Cyprian Association has
nice.
Helped
very supportive of it.
Yeah.
Because George said to me when I go to New York, hey, Malaka, we're going to go kill a couple of Euros up in Bayside, right? I go, you're goddamn right we are. Because he's an alos fagas. I think we should bring George on. We're going to both
You'd never know it looking at him.
Yeah.
You'd never know it looking at him.
No.
No, he's lost it. He's done really well.
He's done good. He's lost. No, he's, I haven't seen, because of COVID, I haven't seen George. I mean, nobody's seen anybody for the last couple of years. So, I mean, it's like, but he knows there's one place I like going to in New York. So it's Fontana. I'll give it a plug right now. Fontana and Bayside. Best gyro and avgolemono soup anywhere in the planet.
I'll drink to that.
Planet. Fontana up in Bayside, Queens. And I get off the airplane, I go straight there. Yeah, masa, because Mijas.
Hey, Foti, go get a sponsorship from these people.
Fontana.
Hold on, I was
They're big fans of mine. They love it there. They're good guys.
King Souvlaki is feeding us.
Nice. Let's plug the King Souvlaki then.
Yeah,
that's insane.
King Souvlaki. They're going to be catering the event, right, Anthony?
Most of it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And then we the more I go to Athens, the more I realize there's more vegetarian and vegan restaurants popping up. So, I said to them, bit of seleno, aguri.
Well, I love that word, aguri. You ever say it? To aguri, to fayet. Like, it's got so many different meanings.
Like Greg Ferguson said to me once, Anthony, it's not what you say. It's the way that you say it that gets the laughs. And that's you all over, mate. You're such a gifted man.
That's so
gifted.
It's funny because Foti's nickname is Aguri, just so you know.
I wish we had more time to dive
and
into
swiftly moving on.
But speaking of food, which is great, Anthony, we say we like to end off our segment by getting to know you a little more. as you know, a little more personal here, and
his Greek side.
Yeah, his Greek side. But before I go into that, it's been an honor. I really enjoyed.
It's been my pleasure
listening to you and hearing all about you. We definitely want to still stay connected with you and follow all of your great works. But a couple of questions that we ask all of our guests. I typically start off with asking a question about favorite and least favorite foods growing up as a Greek or a Cypriot. But I want to kind of change it up a bit and ask you, growing up in a Greek Cypriot household, we grew up with great foods that our moms used to put together. Is there anything that you've, as a child growing up, missed that you can't really have today that you were brought up on?
No, my mom's a terrible cook. Oh. No, she's not. No, she's not. No, not really. Not really, because I'm so often in Cyprus and Athens, that I've got my favorite places out there that I go to. And I'll go to a taverna in Cyprus and I'll say, when can you cook? Blah, blah, bamyas or something. And they go, I'll do them for you on Wednesday. And I'll show up on Wednesday and he would have cooked it for me, So,
amazing.
I know, I've got my places that I go to, and I've got to say that I've spent so much time that I don't really, the Greek food I won't have in LA because I haven't found it any good, but New York and Queens, Astoria, I do find it. Do you find
the Greek food outside or in the US, the Greek food in the US compared to Greek food in maybe London or in outside of Greece or Cyprus is better on the outside of the US, or do you find spots that actually do justice?
There are spots in New York that do a lot of justice to it. But give me a halloumi and baticha and I'm happy.
There you go.
Καρπούζι.
That means καρπούζι, Ari.
Καρπούζι. Και φλαούνες, φλαούνες, ξέρεις τι είναι, Άντζελο? Φλαούνες. Είναι σαν όπως το τσουρέκι που κάνουμε. Ναι, αλλά είναι με τυρί και άλλα πράγματα που, για το Πάσχα. Είναι φλαούνες.
Φλαούνες, το έχω φάει αυτό.
We gotta look that up.
It's with cheese, different cheeses and raisins. And it's yummy and I'm getting hungry now.
We're changing Forty's nickname from Aguri to Flauna.
But I do like gapama. You never heard of that, have you?
Wait, what is it? What is it?
Gapama.
And what is
what
that?
kolokasi is?
Never heard of this.
Kolokasi.
You know that? What is it?
It's kolokasi. I think, I don't know what it's like. I think in England it was called Jewish potato, but they make it with a tomato, medianisi. And gapamas, instead of making chunks out of it, they'll slice it and they'll put wine in it. Ooh. And it's just,
now that you mention this,
I like this.
Are there any Cypriot restaurants that we know of in the U.S.?
Dionysos in Ditmars.
Okay.
Cypriot.
That's something we could look out for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
Man, I know LA, I know New York.
In London, there's a lot.
No. Yeah, because, there's a lot of big Cypriot. It's around the corner.
Yeah.
It's around the corner, literally. So, I was doing a TV show out there called Prime Suspect. I think it was called Tennyson out here. And I'd get a week off, 4 days off. I go to Cyprus, 3 days off. No, I better hang around. You know what I mean? So, but I do. It's like, I love.
Well, Anthony, you need to educate us a little more on Cypriot cuisine because it sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
We're going to hit you up for some tips and advice. But going on to our second question, Anthony, not to take up too much of your time. We talk about our upbringing, our parents, and all the, the tips and advice that they give us. Is there any sayings that still stick with you from your mom and your dad growing up that you still, use today? Any Greek sayings that still stick with you?
Oh God!
This is not a PG segment.
Or
go for it.
Curses your mom is giving you.
There's two and they're both from my dad. Well, one of them is a Cypriot one, but they say it in Greek as well. But the only thing I remember my dad hollering at me when I used to drop something, he used to say, I remember that. It's like, it took me forever to get over that. Every time I dropped something, I could hear him. But one that I do like is Whoa,
that was a
good one.
Wait, say that one again.
Να σου πω την ανθρωπιά σου. Δηλαδή, de la vie. You have it in Greek, but you'll go, that's what that means. It means, μπαίνουν ποιος είναι ο φίλος σου να σου πω ποιος είσαι.
Yes.
Μπαίνουν τη συντροφιά, who you're hanging with, to tell you what man you are. What kind
I
of
like that. I like that a lot.
My mom used that. Yeah.
That's like a more formal, fancier way of saying, what it is. And I like it. I love it. I love the way it sounds.
But my mom is like always told us stories while growing up, and they were either scripture or mythology. So when I grew up, I wasn't. Is that Troy? I wasn't sure which was mythology and which was the real stuff, and apparently the Bible's the real stuff. And
that's fun.
But that's how we were raised.
Yeah, love it.
But look, my favorite food when I was a kid was louvi. You know what louvi is?
No.
Black-eyed beans.
Oh yeah.
With lachana, with ospria.
Yeah.
And as a 6-year-old, I stood up on a chair over the stove and I ate so much of it, I made myself ill that I haven't been able to touch it since.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
I had the same thing with whiskey, man, so don't worry.
That's hardcore, man. That's hardcore.
I love it. This is great, Anthony. This is great. And our last question for you, we touched.
You said there were 2. Oh, go on.
Can I get a free pass for a third one?
Yeah, go on.
Right, great. And the last question, Anthony, is
yes, I'm single. Yes, I'm straight.
Oh man! All right, question number 4.
My phone number is 55.
555. Yes, we've all in Hollywood have the same number. Go on.
Oh man, we could go on forever. But the last thing we want to leave you off with is you touched a little bit about faith in our culture. We're very dramatic people as well. But superstition is a big part of I think our culture in general. Our yayadis and our parents, embedded that in our mind about what not to do and what you should do because you don't want to incur bad luck. Is there any superstition that you live by to this day?
Oh man. You know how many people I've probably blinded with salt who've been stood behind me? Like, sorry, man. Walking under ladders, saying the Scottish play while I'm on, the name of the Scottish play when I'm on. Yeah, I'm kind of superstitious, and I'm kind of, and I do believe in the source of power, and I do try to live my life by, the scripture, and not because I'm religious, but because I think that's the way. That's the decent thing to do. And the golden rule is, do unto others. And it's not, and that comes straight out of scripture. And I find people like going, I hate religion. And then they'll go, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning. Red sky at night, shepherd's. I say, well, you know where that's from? They go, no, that's from the Bible, mate. And you're quoting the Bible to me.
Oh, man.
You know what, man? I think, I had an issues, 20 years ago with religion, and, I wasn't taught religion the way that I needed to learn it. And I needed to believe in a living God, and a living God in the source that surrounds me, and like a loving parent. And, growing up, as every single one of us who has a papatop, what is Greek or Cypriot is like, that's a Timorisio Theos, and so we're, you go to church, don't do that. Don't cross your legs. And that's still instilled in me when I go to church. It took me a long way round to come back to my own religion and to realize that, we do have confession in our, and I didn't know that till I was 26 years old, that, I can go. And I used to go up to Stavrovoni I went to one priest. He's passed away recently. He was like, I need to confess. He says, why? I said, I want to take Holy Communion tonight. It's Easter week. He said, you were here 2 weeks ago. I said, I walked out that door and I started sinning 2 weeks ago. I said, and he was like, come on over, and I'm a regular guy, man. I'm a regular guy, I'm a regular old bozo, you know what I mean? And I'm not the guy that, and I try and live by the rules that work for me. And it's like, I know that when I point one finger at someone, 3 are pointing back at me. Mm-hmm. And like, I have to remember that, and, that comes back to scripture. I accuse a man of having a splinter in his eye when I got a plank in my own, So, I wear my beliefs loosely. I like to do things that maybe priests wouldn't agree with. You know what I mean?
100%.
100%. Because
you made a joke like there, Angelo, and said Catholic priests might, but I stopped myself.
Oh man.
Well, it's interesting because I have a very, very, very religious, by the book church mother-in-law, and I say, don't you ever question this and don't you ever question that? And she's like, oh, how dare you? And I was like, and she's like, if you don't believe in this and you don't believe in that, like, what stops you from doing horrible things? I was like, because I'm a decent human being. And that stops me from doing horrible things. Now.
You've opened a can of worms because
Ari,
morally, am I stopping doing things because morally it's wrong? And then where do I get my morals from?
But that's the thing. It's like some people think you could only get morals from an organized religion, and other people are like, you live in a society of people, and you have to have certain morals to survive in a society, right?
Right. But, having said that, dude, it's like certain cultures accept they accept certain things that we in the Western world, should we put it, won't accept, but that morally it's okay for them to do, and we're horrified morally. To kill, to maim has to be inside you anyway. So those kind of things. But it's completely. I'd love to talk about it with you guys one day, but it's
another episode.
We're gonna have an after hours
podcast.
Drink a couple of glasses of wine, smoke a stogie. After hours discussion about this.
Love it. Well, that was my my little shtick with you, Anthony. As far as questions go, I want to thank you for answering all those. We really like the fact that we can get down to the nitty gritty with our guests, if that's a word I can use. But
yeah. I'll let you credit.
Thank you so much.
Oh shit! What did I say?
It's been an honor, brother.
Oh shit! Someone's gonna come. He's gonna bop me in the ass. Is anyone gonna edit this?
I could edit anything you need. Edit it out, no problem. You let me know.
No, we didn't say anything bad.
No, nothing. Everything. This I'm going to tell you right now, Anthony, was a great episode.
Awesome.
I was fully immersed in everything that we were talking about. Everything you say. Maybe it's your voice. I don't know, because whatever you say, I'm listening. That voice gets me. I love it. It's
Thank
just
you.
Amazing.
Angelo will tell you this, because I believe he believes it's true. When the heart talks, the heart listens.
That's right.
Yeah, brother.
100%.
Absolutely. So I want to say on behalf of Foti and Angelo, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming on. We would love to have you back. We have so much more to talk about. Your show sounds amazing. I know you said you almost felt insulted that you look like Aristotle Onassis, but you know what? I never knew how tall he was. I never saw any picture of him where I thought he was not good looking. I don't know if that means
cool looking.
Yeah, because I always thought, maybe it's just the aura around Aristotle that I always thought, but like you really do. From the old pictures I've seen of him, I don't know much about it, but like I've seen many old pictures of him, and you do have the vibe. If somebody's going to play him, it's you.
You're the man.
Al Pacino is supposed to be playing him. He's supposed to be playing him, but thank you.
No, forget that.
No. Al Pacino doesn't do it.
Forget Al Pacino. Forget him. But seriously, I think your voice, from what I know of Aristotle, is way more of a match than Al Pacino. Didn't he have a deep voice?
I don't know. You can research.
That's it.
I love it. It's perfect.
The best compliment I've ever had was in Greece when they said we knew the story of Onassis' story, and then when it came to the plane, his son, we were just hoping for a different outcome, even though we knew the story. And I thought, I nailed it. I hope I nail it in New York as well.
You will.
And on that note, gentlemen, Kalinichta, thank you.
We want to say
much success.
Thank you.
We want to say thank you so much for taking the time with us. Can you give us one more plug of the show, the date, the theater, everything else?
Right. It's the show runs from the 3rd of March to the 20th of March. We have the opportunity to extend for an extra week. Tickets are available on Eventbrite, one word, eventbrite.com. And if you just put Onassis in, the show will automatically.
And we will also link to all of that.
And
well.
I am proud to be a Helene, and I want to make you being that I'm a Helene too. So
Absolutely.
Have a great night, guys.
You too.
Awesome.
Carnita, Anthony.
Amazing.
Thanks, Anthony. See you in New
Much
York.
love. You
Thank
got
you
it,
so
brother.
much,
Good boys.
Anthony. Thank you,
Yes,
Foti.
Thank you,
you,
Ari.
Angelo.
Bye, Ari. Bye, Forty.
Thank you, everybody out there, for watching and listening. And we will see you next time. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.